Watch this.
It's Friday. You made it through the week. Here's what we got for you on the 208. What happens if there aren't any candidates for a position on the ballot? Well, that's Adams County's reality because they don't have someone to fill the spot of prosecuting attorney for the May primary ballot. We found out what the contingency plan is.
So there's no way we can continue to operate in that.
Another thing on the ballot, Valley County is trying to pass a levy to fund their emergency medical services. Yes, again. Have you ever been on TV? I know I have. Well, Flying Pie was giving out free pizzas to anyone who's ever been on TV, so we're going to put those people on TV again. Ah, yes, it's the 208. Happy Friday. We made it through the week, and what a beautiful Friday out there. Let's tackle some business, though, before we hit the weekend. First on my agenda, the upcoming election on May 21st. The May primary, and as the name says, it is a primary election. Republican against Republican, Democrat versus Democrat, Libertarian versus Libertarian, so on and so forth. You get it. And the winners of the primary go on to the general election in November. But what if there are no candidates from any party for a position? Take a look at this collection of sample ballots from Adams County. These are Republican, Democratic, Libertarian, and Constitution Party ballots. If you were to compare and contrast these ballots for whatever reason, you would find that there are no candidates for Adams County prosecuting attorney. None, zero, zilch from any political affiliation. So what happens here? Someone has to be the county prosecutor, right? So what's the deal? Printing error or just nobody interested in the position? We need to know. So I reached out to Adams County and the clerk, Sherry Ward, who is very helpful. Here's what Clerk Ward has to say, saying, quote, yes, there are no candidates for prosecutor in Adams County. A county may contract with a qualified attorney or contract with an adjacent county. Also, there could be a write-in for the November election, but that must be filed by September 6th. So there's your answer. It makes sense. It is very interesting and intricate. So certainly a quirk in the election. I will be keeping an eye on that because I'm interested to see how it plays out. But anyways, wanted to also plug the KTVB voter guide. Our great team that put that together has found some interesting things around Idaho, just like that in Adams County. You can check out what is on your ballot right now at ktvb.com.
There are a number of EMS agencies in the state that get by year to year on bake sales. I mean, they literally don't have the budget to keep diesel in the ambulance.
And since last summer, those problems are not fixed. The state of Idaho does not recognize EMS as an essential service, meaning the state won't fill in the gaps if local government cannot fit the bill. It's a good time to bring in the 208's Andrew Bartline. Andrew, you've covered rural EMS needs for us here on the 208 for quite some time. In Valley County, once again, they're going for more votes to get cash. What's going on up there?
Yeah, well, this is unique because it's on the heels of last election in November. They actually had 2 votes. It was sort of a split decision how that came out. Voters did approve the creation of a new EMS district in Valley County, and that took the EMS needs off the county commissioner's hands and gave it to the focus of an EMS-specific board. But the money to fund that restructure was in a different vote that did fail. It was just 2% shy of the supermajority needed. And Valley County has 3 ambulances for about 12,000 people, but between Donnelly, Cascade, and McCall, they're resort towns, and that appeal reels in a call volume of 4 times what's normally expected.
We're tripling our budget. And that's a lot to ask, folks. It really is. And I'm very aware of that. But if you look at it from into context, the fire departments are paying the difference, but it's not fair to them to short their service so that we can do something on the ambulance side of things when an ambulance is 70 to 80% of what they do daily, weekly, and yearly. It's time the fire districts get their own budget squared away and the ambulance district to pack their own weight in water and do this right.
The county created the current levy rate for a volunteer EMS team years ago, decades ago even, and it's been outgrown. The county EMS district currently draws a levy rate of about $12 per 100,000 in your assessed property value. That levy rate would increase to about $36 per 100,000. The commissioners say would buy a fourth ambulance that would be a roamer and cover personal operational costs. But yeah, I mean, a recreational area, they say they need it.
Well, I know up in the Valley County area and other places across Idaho, they get a lot of tourism. And unfortunately, sometimes when you go to these places, you get injured there. So it's interesting because the people that get injured there, a lot of the time, they're not taxpayers in that county. You can kind of get where we're going with this. So complicated stuff. Andrew will keep an eye on it. Appreciate that very much. A lot of news and notes in our region. We'll start with this. Some of Tammy Daybell's family took the stand today during the triple murder trial of Chad Daybell. Brenda Rodriguez shares what one of them said and some other top headlines for you around our area in today's 411.
Jason William, Tammy's brother-in-law, took the stand at the end of week 5 of Chad Daybell's murder trial. He's the Eastern Idaho man accused of murder and conspiracy in the deaths of his late wife, Tammy Daybell, and his current wife's 2 children, JJ and Tylee. He talked about the conversations he had with Chad before and after the family moved to Idaho because of Chad's belief that Rexburg would be safe during the second coming.
In my opinion, it's a fear tactic. It's a way to let people know I know more than you, and therefore you should listen to me.
You can find more information on the trial at ktvb.com. Court will be back on Monday. The biggest food drive in the country is happening tomorrow. You can be a part of Stamp Out Hunger, hosted by the National Association of Letter Carriers, by placing a bag of non-perishable foods next to your mailbox. Then your letter carrier will pick it up on their route, donate things like canned foods, whole grain pasta, cereal, and easy-to-open foods. All food donated will go to the Idaho Food Bank. And there's a new mural in downtown Boise honoring the past and the present. The 2-story mural located at 9th and Miller Street tells the story of the Foothill School and the River Street neighborhood. It features local flora and fauna alongside other science concepts that have been impactful for the school's project-based learning approach. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Brenda Rodriguez.
This Sunday morning on Viewpoint, we have a Mother's Day special for you. By the way, Sunday's Mother's Day, so get her gift. Anyways, Gallup polling and the group Supreme Moms from Idaho, they released a new report and they they surveyed over 4,000 Idahoans for data on roles, experiences, and needs of mothers in our communities. And the findings found that while people acknowledge mothers are essential to families and communities, many mothers do not have the help and support they need. You're looking at Shannon McGuire, and she is a mother of 4 and the founder of Supreme Moms. She spoke with me during our Viewpoint taping about the findings, like this one, using your voice as a mom.
The notion of not using your voice, it's very personal to me. And sitting here with you now in this report is so imperative because I was one of those moms that just sat back and stayed quiet. And I think about the missing ideas and information and experience and perspective because moms don't feel comfortable speaking up. And it's a mixture of things. I'm fearful of repercussions. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to be rejected. I don't think anyone's listening. So that stat, over half reported that they're not comfortable speaking up. So it's powerful.
And join us this Sunday morning on Viewpoint, 9 a.m. right here on News Channel 7. We dive into the report, and Shannon has some great insights for moms and really everyone. And speaking of Mother's Day, we love all our moms out there, but we also know there were some little white lies that our parents told us growing up just to keep us in line, keep us on the tracks. Maybe your mom told you a white lie growing up. Things like if you swallow gum, it'll stay in your stomach for 7 years. If you turn the light on in the car, you'll get arrested. So in honor of Mother's Day, we want you to share the white lies that your mom told you growing up so that we could all be better people. Text us your answers at 208-321-5614 with your name and hashtag the 208. Make sure that they're light and fun. We are not in the business of airing families' dirty laundry here on the 208 on this episode, but we do want some white lies. And then on Monday, we're going to show our favorites throughout the show. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. We'll be right back. Ever wonder why the Egyptian Theater in downtown Boise is Egyptian themed? We're telling you the answer and much more in a deep dive into the Egyptian theater's history, something that got them an award just yesterday. You got a good guess for the Egyptians theme? Or what else did you have your mother lie to you about? But really, you can just text us anything about the show. Send your thoughts to 208-321-5614 with your name and hashtag the 208. We'll show as many as we can at the end of the show. On November 4th, 1922, an archaeologist digging in northern Egypt discovered the tomb of King Tut. I don't know how to say his full last name, we'll just go with King Tut. And according to Hummel architects, that discovery in the early 20s resulted in the third Egyptian revival in the Western world, inspiring architectural designs of banks, monuments, and theaters. Theaters like the Egyptian Theater in downtown Boise. But the Egyptian has gone through a revival of its own throughout the years. We want to tell you all about it in this week's 208 Redial. When you think about Boise, Idaho, what are the places that make Boise? The river, the blue, the state capitol. The tapestry is rich, but some places sticking out more than others.
I've loved this building my entire life, and now I get to talk about it when I talk about historic places in Boise.
The Egyptian Theater, right in the heart of Boise.
My name's Dan Everhart. I work for the Idaho State Historic Preservation Office. I'm the outreach historian.
The historian Everhart explains, Egyptian aesthetic was all the rage when the Egyptian Theater was first built in 1927.
It was meant as an escapist experience for folks who were looking for something new to entertain them. And don't forget the air conditioning, which was unusual in Boise at the time. So this was unlike any other place that you would have been. And certainly I, as a child, as an adult, experience that magic every time I'm here.
But why the Egyptian decor in Boise, Idaho?
The building exists in this shape with this design because of the discovery of King Tut's tomb in 1922 and the resulting craze for Egyptian style and design that followed.
As the 1930s passed, Egyptian architecture became passé. The theater in Boise and others like it around the country began to see changes.
This theater itself was sort of whitewashed, literally, to remove some of the elements of Egyptian style and make it more modern. And of course, this is the American way. We get enamored with something for a little while. It's a craze, it's a trend, and then we move on, and we tend to forget about and sometimes actively seek to throw away.
The Egyptian Theater became known as the Fox and later the Ada Theater in the 1940s. Fast forward to the 1970s, the building finally returned to the Egyptian moniker, being placed on the National Register of Historic Places on November 21st, 1974. The building became a target, though, for demolition as development of downtown Boise continued in the 1970s. In 1977, the fate of the building eventually landed in the hands of Earl Hardy.
I'm Kay Hardy, and I'm the daughter of Earl Hardy, the man who was responsible for the preservation of the theater when he purchased it in 1977, when it was scheduled for demolition through the Urban Renewal Agency.
Kay remembers the drastic difference between the building now and its form in 1977, and also the personal risk her father took with a personal bank loan.
When Dad purchased it, the lobby was whitewashed. The exterior of the building had been painted white, so there was no color, there was no decoration. We didn't have a tenant for the building, and Dad came back to the office and said, I must be crazy, but I just couldn't stand the destruction of downtown.
Hardy saved the Egyptian Theater from becoming a historical note, instead working through the end of the 1970s with Hummel Architects to repair and restore the building. Fast forward another 20 years, Kay Hardy and her now husband, architect Gregory Kaslow, they worked on an extensive restoration again of the Egyptian in 1999.
Well, it was an interesting building. The ceiling was thoroughly corroded, for example. So one of my first impressions was looking in here and looking at all the holes in the ceiling, all the rust stains, and so it was kind of a mess.
So at that time, Dad had a lease with a national movie chain, and they would not shut down their movies for Dad to be able to repair the roof. And so the roof deteriorated, and he was not able to work on repairing the roof until the National Theater chain terminated the lease.
So when I became involved, it was just a matter of slowly dealing with one thing after another until we could actually stage a formal restoration in 1999.
The Egyptian was brought into the 21st century with a fresh look, ready for the new millennium.
This is unique to Boise, and that uniqueness is important, and the character that it gives to the city is incredibly significant. So take this away, and you rip out a piece of Boise's soul. I don't think we could survive exactly the same way as Boiseans without the Egyptian Theater.
The 2000s brought new cinema and shows to the Egyptian Theater, remaining a beloved, unique energy just down the road from the Idaho State Capitol. The new millennium, though, came to a screaming halt in 2020, a global pandemic, a time where all theaters became a place not to go. But that opened the door for another Egyptian aesthetic development.
I don't think we ever discussed it. We just went right into it.
The process has been invigorating, I would say. I'm not saying that it didn't come without hassles, but it's been invigorating because of the commitment to the theater and actually the commitment to the community. And the fact that we've had young children come in here on tours and then for events, and I remember this one young girl, and she said, I have never seen anything so beautiful. I didn't know anything like this existed.
Kay, what do you think makes a building meaningful to people?
I think that something unique helps people understand the uniqueness of culture. And so history is embedded in a building, as it was when this was constructed in 1927, and as it is today with its current renovation. But I think when everything in life, or so much of life, becomes the same without differentiation or without uniqueness, I think that it's more difficult for people to see. I think that beauty and something unique are important elements of a person's ability to learn about history and learn about culture.
And just yesterday, Boise's pioneer chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, they honored the owners of the Egyptian movie theater, the Hardys, with the Historic Preservation Award. We'll take you there. A ceremony was held at the theater. Pamela Wright with the Daughters of the American Revolution says that the Egyptian theater was an obvious choice for the recognition.
We mark historic buildings all around the nation, and as we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of our nation, it's more important than ever for all communities to mark the special places within their own towns and cities. And of course, this is an incredibly important location for Boise.
You might have just seen him in the background and right there. Governor Little was there. He proclaimed May 9th, 2024 as Earl Hardy Family Day in Idaho. That proclamation was in recognition of what he calls the tireless efforts by the Hardy family to purchase, revitalize, and maintain the Egyptian Theater for the last 47 years. The Egyptian Theater hosts a slew of events, including movies, concerts, speakers, and much more. You can find out more on our website. We'll be back. Flying Pie Pizza has been doing the It's Your Day program for a while now, and usually if your name's on their marquee, on their board, you come in and you get to make your own little small pizza for free. But on Wednesday, they mixed it up a bit and said anyone who's been on TV got free pizza. So we thought, why not put those people on TV again?
Today, it's been on TV, see some proof. So if people have been on TV and they came in and were able to show us proof, they were able to get a small free pizza.
And this is Zola.
Oh,
she's always
nice.
on TV. We were on TV on Good Morning America, and we were also on TV for KTVB with Maggie O'Mara.
A nonprofit candy shop named after her daughter, Zola.
This is Zola. This is your candy shop.
Sweet Zola's is a candy shop in Boise, Idaho, run exclusively by individuals with developmental disabilities.
Hot dog will probably fit. Yeah, it's just a flying pie gimmick. You gotta push down hard. That mother-daughter bonding time over making pizzas.
My whole life I've been growing up seeing people with disabilities. I've learned that it's okay to be yourself.
Love it.
One of my employees' moms actually reached out to Good Morning America. They reached out to us and flew me there.
A gift to you of
It was a huge surprise. Pretty amazing. It's just funny how things happen. Like, it's just funny how we just came to eat dinner and we ended up on the news.
Channel 7 is everywhere. Well, every day there's a different name on the Flying Pies board, except for Wednesdays when they do something different. You can find all the days on Flying Pies website, or you can look up at the billboard because you never know what you'll see up there. We'll be back with your comments. Okay, we had a flood of comments about Mother's Day. We'll get to some of them in a minute and more on Monday, but I want to start with this. This person writes, Joe, I wrote letters to the governor and all the top legislators during the session about the EMS being an essential service. My wife needed an ambulance in Life Flight last summer while we were above Stanley. Thanks to them for showing up an hour and a half after our call. Steve from Meridian. Steve, it's a good point, good color into that conversation. This person says, hey, Joe, the proper pronunciation for the full name of King Tut is Tutankhamun, Bud of Boise. Bud, thank you, because I was going to have to look that up, and you did it for me. This person says, my mother said that eating toast crust would give you rosy cheeks and curly hair. Okay, I hadn't heard that one. The next one is, Mom, what I thought was white lie. If you keep popping your hip out, you will get arthritis. Unfortunately, she was not wrong. No, there appears to be some science on that one. I don't have a cute anecdote because everything my mother did was cute. This is a hard time for those of us that have lost our mother, so I wanted to send a shout out and virtual hug to those of us who don't have their mothers. Yes, 1,000 shout outs to all of those in our community. We'll see you Monday.